All right. It is 5:45 in the morning and I can't sleep. Um so we're talking about music. Oh, my Discord notification just went off.
All right, take three. As I was saying, it's 5:45 in the morning and I can't sleep. So instead of sleeping, we're gonna talk about music, everyone's favorite topic. So there were two albums released recently. One by Jade called "That's Showbiz Baby," and one by an up and coming artist. You may not have heard of her. I believe her name is Trailer Snift? No, that's not it. Taylor Swift released an album called The Life of a Showgirl. And I would like to compare those two pieces of musical artistry today. So, before you accuse me of being a Taylor Swift hater, and correctly so, I would also like to state that I am not afraid to stream Taylor's music if I like it, which has been a more and more dwindling occurrence as the years have gone on. But if you go into my iTunes, you will see that I was faithfully purchasing Taylor Swift songs in 2015. I streamed Reputation. I didn't care that other people thought it was bad. I didn't really like Lover. I liked the song Lover, and Cruel Summer is catchy as hell. I did not like the Tortured Poets department, but I did save some songs. And when I listened to The Life of a Showgirl, my main complaint really was that there wasn't much of a narrative through line concerning showgirlness. Taylor Swift has kind of known for her narrative songwriting, I guess. Her two biggest projects, which are Folklore and Evermore, are basically all narrative. It's surrounding a very specific set of circumstances, uh, surrounding this love triangle between these teenagers, and sort of goes on this very epic fantasy tale weaving journey. And I think that's when Taylor is recognized at her most capable and most sort of managing to wrap up her projects in an actually marketable shell without sacrificing her unique songwriting tendencies, right? So I would say that classics like Love Story is one you might think of where it's, especially with the music video, it's Romeo and Juliet themed. You get it. It's not hard. She wants a guy to come take her away. you know, it's not genius level material, but it is good. I like listening to some of Taylor Swift's music. Now, with this new album, again, as I said, there was a distinct lack of showgirlness. The last song, which features Sabrina Carpenter, actually goes into this theme and is called The Life of a Showgirl, and seemingly depicts the life of a showgirl, but not really. Taylor sings about this woman who she looks up to who's been in show business and has kind of been getting up there in the years, and people might try to phase her out, but she's still kicking. The life of a showgirl is tough and unrewarding, but she's still into it because she just loves the game of the performance so much. Oh, my cat's here. Hello. She didn't have anything to say. All right. However, the album isn't really about showgirlness, and that specific song really doesn't have anything more to say than that. It's really just showbiz is hard, being a showgirl is hard. And while I don't disagree with that premise, I'm not going to sit here and say that entertainers have it easy these days. Um, the album definitely doesn't present like a convincing picture of the way that artists are taken advantage of and the sort of parasocial relationship between fame and fans. That's a really popular topic nowadays. Um, Also, a lot of the songs are just bad. Like, okay, Opalite about her boyfriend. Wood about her boyfriend. Wishlist. sort of about her personal ambitions, but mostly about her boyfriend. We get the trend, right? And again, romance and showbiz are often entangled, but she doesn't really delve into that at all. The closest she comes is with Father Figure, where she's sort of playing this head honcho Scooter Braun type, who can just come in and fuck up your whole life with contracts and stuff like that, without actually having much faith in your artistry. So she goes there a bit, but that's about it. Overall, I would just say Taylor's lyricism is pretty lacking on this album, and I'm not the first person to say that. But I would like to compare it to another album that came out recently, that is also showbiz related, and that is Jade's That's Showbiz, Baby. And I would like to get into the discussion of this album by talking about sampling. So, my friend sent me Doechie's Anxiety, the music video for it, and we had a bit of a discussion about what that song is. Because if you haven't heard Doechie's Anxiety, it uses the instrumentals for Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know. And I like that. I like Anxiety. I think it's a good song. But my friend was more arguing that it counts as a sample. I said that it's really more of a cover, since it literally is just the instrumental track of Somebody That I Used to Know with the vocals scraped off. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. It's more of a semantics thing. But people have been arguing about sampling since sampling was invented. How much of it you can use, what counts as stealing. Do you have to clear it with artists first before you take maybe a portion of their voices or a portion of their music? We could go on and on. But I do think the core of the argument around sampling has to do with intention. So when we get to That Showbiz, Baby, this album has a bunch of disco samples. And as a disco enjoyer, I do like that. But I think it also is done in a much more sensitive way than on The Life of a Showgirl. The Life of a Showgirl also uses samples. I believe the most famous one at this point has got to be the sampling of a Jackson 5 song for a song of Taylor Swift's about her boyfriend's penis. Now, I could go on about how one maybe would not want to use the instrumentation of a song that was sung by a child in your song about your boyfriend's penis. But we're just going to move past that and say that tonally, this sample is very odd. Like, I get that Taylor Swift is excited to finally have that good D, and that's fine. I'm really happy for her. But this kind of almost gleeful, like, guys, I finally had sex, like, take that she's got on it, mixed with this, like, poppy, jazzy, like, yeah, finally got the dick, let's fucking go. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't personally care for it, and I thought it was a weird use of that sample. Now, Jade samples multiple artists, like Anita Ward, The Supremes. But her album, being a much more like disco pop sounding album, it just makes more sense to take those samples and use them in the music. And I was really impressed with the Ring My Bell sample, because Ring My Bell obviously is this kind of like 8-minute long hypnotic disco track that really features this like iconic refrain of the like pinging synth noises. And that's not what the Jade track sounds like. Like, you can hear the Ring My Bell sample, but it's really in the beginning and then fades into the background as Jade does her own thing with it. The Wood Jackson 5 sample really just sounds like Taylor Swift said, hey, what are some songs, famous songs, that we could sample on the new album? Can anyone think of anything? Oh, Jackson 5? Cool, let's do that. And I just feel as if the laziness. Whoa, so much cat hair. I just blew off my computer. Okay, hold on. I guess I shouldn't be complaining or like shocked that a woman who has more money than God and more fans than God is getting a bit lazy with her 12th album. And I guess that's the end of the sentence. I don't know why I'm shocked. I just really think that Jade did a really great job with her first album. And if I were Taylor Swift, I would not be banking on my popularity forever. And she's going to be fine until she dies. Like, again, more money than God. So she doesn't really need to worry about pleasing people at this point. And given how her career has gone, where it's been very focused on people kind of overanalyzing everything she does because she's a woman who's in the public eye, I don't think that that's a bad position for her to take, to kind of be like, I'm outie. That's fine. But again, it's this kind of like gleeful disdain with which she delivers a lot of these songs. Like, Cancelled is a really flippant song, I guess. Wishlist is a really flippant song where she's kind of accusing people publicly of like wanting everything she has, but she doesn't even want it. She doesn't even need it. She's out of here. Like, okay, good for you. Thanks. So, on the topic of show business, both of these albums are titled Showgirl, Showbiz in some way or another. But Jade actually deals with this topic on her album. Whoa! Crazy! The first single from this album was Angel of My Dreams, and it's a fairly literal metaphor about Jade having this producer kind of contract person in her life who is she's very clear in the album, like she's very explicit about feeling like that this person feels like they own her, feels like they own her body, feels like they own her artistry, and is like kind of screaming about how you're supposed to act like you're grateful for that just because that person elevated you to a position of like fame and fortune. And she explicitly calls out Simon Cowell at the end of It Girl with "It's a no from me." So she's kind of illustrating how she's turning that initial power back on its head, and now she's the person who can kind of elevate herself rather than having to lean on these exploitative people, i.e., Simon Cowell. I don't I don't know anything about Simon Cowell, by the way. Don't sue me. I'm just going off this album. So I guess my message to Taylor would be, if you're going to make an album, you should try to do a good job. At the bare minimum. Again, I understand why she might not want to do that at this point in time. People are saying that this was kind of just a throwaway before her 13th album, because 13 is a really big number to Taylor Swift, so she might try to go off on that one, as it were. But I don't really think that's a good excuse, because people didn't really like Tortured Poets either, and this is the second album in a row. And it must be really tough if you know that you can just show up and earn billions of dollars to put in any effort at all. But, oh my god, my cat's climbing on the lamp. Hey, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Thank you. What was I saying? Right. So, I understand why Taylor Swift would be lazy if she feels she has earned the right to. And again, I'm really not trying to lean into this, like, younger, hotter artists will just replace you, because obviously she's critiquing that in this very album. But I do want to say she's been the number one artist on Earth for a while now. And I I do feel like she is coasting a bit. And again, that's fine if she feels like she just wants to go out and put out crap every year and earn billions of dollars doing it. That's her right. And I don't really have anything to say against that. I would just say if she cares about music, try a little harder next time. All right, that's all I have to say.